Your price is too high. 5 words that kills more deals than any other objection. And here's what most salespeople get wrong. They think that the prospect is rejecting their price. They're not. They're rejecting your value. And if you don't know what to say next, that deal's dead, and so is your commission check. After analyzing over 3,000 sales calls, we built a simple framework to handle these exact price objections. One that's boosted our close rate by over 32% without ever dropping cost. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how to flip pricing concerns into signed contracts without ever discounting a penny. Let's dive in. Before we talk about how to handle this objection, you need to understand why it happens in the first place. And the truth is, when a prospect tells you it's too expensive, they're rarely ever talking about the actual dollar amount. It's all about perceived value. When someone says your price is too high, what they're actually saying is one of these 3 things. First, they don't see enough value to justify the cost. You haven't connected your solution to a real pain point that really matters to them. Or second, they don't understand what they're actually getting. So your offer is unclear to them and they're comparing apples to oranges. Or lastly, they're just testing you to see if you're going to drop your price. It's a simple negotiation tactic. And if you fold immediately, you just told them that your price wasn't real to begin with, or your services aren't actually worth it. And the biggest mistake reps make is after they hear, oh, it's too high or too expensive, they think that they need to justify their price or offer a discount right away in order to save the deal. But instead, you need to clarify what's actually going on behind that objection. Hey, if you're getting value so far, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because next week, I'm dropping a video on overcoming a highly requested objection. You don't want to miss this. Now back to the video. Alright, so before I show you what to say, let's talk about what not to say. First, don't immediately get defensive and try to justify your pricing. Don't say things like, oh, well, our competitors charge even more, or, oh, our prices aren't that high. This makes you sound desperate and it's just going to put you in a back and forth argument. Next, don't try to negotiate right away. Don't ask, oh, well, what's your budget or what are you hoping to spend? This shows that you're ready to negotiate down before you even understand the real issue. And lastly, don't offer a discount without digging deeper first. Don't say things like, yeah, sure, I can give you a discount, or yeah, I can drop the price a little. If you drop your price without understanding the real objection, you've lost all leverage and credibility. So what do you actually say when a prospect tells you that your price is too high? At Prospeo, we've developed and refined a 3-step objection handling framework called the A.I.M framework. Let me break it down. The first step is to acknowledge and clarify. So when the prospects tell you it's too expensive, your first job is to figure out exactly what they mean by that. You could say something like, yeah, I appreciate you being upfront about that. When you mention it's too expensive, what do you mean by that specifically? Another way you can get clarity on this is by saying, yeah, no worries. Can you walk me through when you say the price is too high, are you comparing it to something specific or does it just feel high given what you've already set aside? And the key here is that you're not defending your price, you're just asking them to explain what made them feel that way. And most of the time, prospects will either give you one of 2 answers. Either they're going to say something vague like, yeah, I just don't have the money, or they're going to give you specifics like, yeah, we were expecting to pay around 10K a month max, but you're quoting us at 15K. Both answers give you something to work with. Now you can move into isolating the real objection. Now you gotta see whether price is the only issue or if there's something else. And this is where you could say something like, yeah, that's helpful context. Now, let me ask you this. If pricing wasn't an issue, would this be something you'd move forward with? Or, okay, so if we could make the numbers work within your range, is there anything else that's holding you back from moving forward? And this is where you find out whether the price is a real objection or just a smokescreen. If they say yes, if the price was right, we'd move forward, then great. Now you know it's purely about the number and you can work around that. But if they hesitate and bring up other concerns like, well, we're also not sure about the implementation or the timeline, or we need to loop in a few more people, then the price was never the real issue to begin with. You have to handle the other objections first. By the way, if you want to check out the full 3-step framework we use to handle other objections, you can click the video here to watch it after this one. I'll also leave a link in the description below. And step 3 is to maneuver the conversation. So now that you've clarified, you've isolated, it's time to move the conversation forward based on what you've just learned. If budget is genuinely the issue and they've given you a specific number, you have 4 options. Option 1 is to reframe the cost. This is where you could say something like, yeah, I hear you on that. Now, let me ask, what would it be worth to you if we could help you bring in an extra $2 million in pipeline over the next 12 months? Because that's what a lot of our customers typically see. So while $15K a month may seem like an investment, even if you close 1 or even 2 extra deals from that pipeline, doesn't it more than pay for itself? So now you're shifting the focus from cost to ROI. Option 2 is to break down the price differently. So this is similar to the reframe, but you're now using what they've told you as a comparison. So let's say earlier in your conversation, they mentioned that they're spending $25,000 a month on ads just to close a $50,000 client. Now you can use that context to make your price feel more justifiable. You could say something like, yeah, I totally get that 15K feels like a big number. However, you mentioned on our last call that you're spending about 25K on ads for every single deal you get, right? If we could help you cut that ad spend in half while closing just as many deals, you'd actually save about $12,500 per deal. So really, you're not just spending 15K flat out, you're just reallocating money you're already going to save. Does that still sound accurate based on where things are right now? And what you're doing here is that you're making the price feel less like a new expense and more like just a shift in money they're already spending. And option 3 is to adjust the scope if it makes sense. So if you could offer a lower tier program or service, or if you could remove some of the deliverables that they don't need just to match their budget or figure that they had in mind, then you could say something like this. Yeah, I understand that you're working with about 10K a month right now. So how about we do this? We start with just the sales team. That way it aligns with your budget, and we can scale up once you start getting results to the full company. Is that something you'd be open to? You're not dropping your price. Instead, you're adjusting to what they're getting to fit their budget and their needs, and you're still delivering value. But here's the most important part, because if they push back and say, well, the most we can pay is $10,000 a month and we need everything, and this is where you can confidently say, yeah, I can appreciate that. And here's the thing, we've built our pricing around the value we deliver, and cutting it to just 10K a month would mean that we would have to cut corners for our service, which wouldn't be fair to you. So if there's a way we could reallocate the budget or even touch base in a few months when you have more flexibility, I'd love to keep this conversation going. But right now, if we were to move forward with this, we want to make sure you're set up for success and not take any shortcuts. This shows confidence in your pricing and puts the decision back on them without sounding too pushy or desperate. You're saying, look, I respect that you have this budget, but if we can't make anything work, I wish you all the best, but I'm not willing to sacrifice your results or my service to you just to get a new client. So this also leaves the door open for the future. If they do open up budget, now they can re-spark that conversation with you if this is something they still need. And lastly, option 4 is to make them earn the discount. And I would use this purely as a last resort. And only if they're persistent in wanting the discount, they want to work with you, but they simply cannot make this work. And this can be a little cheeky, so let me explain. If you are in a position where you can actually offer a discount, you want to make it feel like they have to earn it and not just like a free handout. And this is where you could say something like, okay, I hear you. It sounds like budget's tight here. Now, I don't have the authority to approve any discounts myself, but let me talk with my team and see what I can do internally. Now, if I can get approval on this, would you be open to doing something for us in return? For example, if you were willing to do a short case study once you start seeing results, or introducing us to 2 to 3 people in your network who might also benefit from this, that would help me make a stronger case for this price adjustment on my end. Would either of those options work for you? And what you're doing here is that you're protecting the value of your offer while still giving them what they want. So on their end, they're going to feel like they negotiate with you, but on your end, you're also getting something valuable in return, whether it's a testimonial, some referrals, or even social proof. So this is a win-win. There has to be some type of mutual benefit for both parties. And there you have it. That's how you answer when a prospect tells you your price is too high, without folding or sounding desperate. Remember, price objections are rarely about the actual price. They're about clarity, value, and sometimes just testing to see if you'll negotiate with them. Clarify what they mean, isolate whether that's the only concern, and maneuver the conversation based on what they tell you. I've also created a full Notion document pinned to the top comment of this video, so if you want access to the full frameworks and other situational examples we haven't covered in this video, you can check the comments and get 100% free access to that resource. And this is just our way to give back to all your support. And as always, if you got value, drop a like on this video, comment what other objections you have a hard time handling, and subscribe because we might answer that in a future video. And click here to see how we handle another common objection you probably hear quite often. I'll see you there.